This is our video explaining the different means of transportation that you can find in China. It is well known that China has issues with its air quality. It's also well known that traffic can be quite extensive. In order to get around these issues, the Chinese population uses a variety of means to get around. In the next 6 minutes or so, we hope to clearly show you the different ways the Chinese population move around in their daily lives. To simplify this video, we broke down transportation options into 4 main categories. This includes air, water, railway, and roads. First is air. The civil aviation industry started rapidly expanding in China in the early 2000s. So they had to make some infrastructure changes to keep up with the growth. By 2007, China had built a total of 467 airports throughout the country. The 3 largest airline groups are Air China, China Eastern, and China Southern. Overall, there are 27 airlines in mainland China. In 2007, these 27 airlines handled around 138 million passengers and over 22 million tons of cargo. You can only imagine how much bigger those numbers are 10 years later. Second is water. Most of the water transportation in China is used for shipping goods internationally. China has roughly 9,000 miles of coastline. Throughout this entire coastline, there are over 2,000 minor ports. However, the largest port is Yangshan Port, which is just outside of Shanghai. This is a deep water port that can move about 40 million TEUs a year. A TEU is the 20-foot equivalent unit, which is an inexact unit of cargo capacity often used to describe the capacity of container ships and container terminals. We were able to visit this port on our trip. Third is railway. There are approximately 120,000 miles of railway throughout the country, and there are even plans to expand it by an additional 50,000 miles. It's currently the second largest rail network in the world, and it's used quite often. About 2.3 billion passenger trips occur in a year, and about 3.8 million tons of cargo is transported on railways. The high-speed bullet train is an efficient way to travel between major cities. We took this train from Beijing to Shanghai. Even though we were moving at around 200 miles per hour, it still took us about 5 hours. There are also subway systems in individual cities. We had the chance to utilize the subways in both Beijing and Shanghai, as it is often faster and cheaper than taking a taxi. Subways are extremely popular for the local population as well. Finally is roads. Traffic is bad, so bad that the government tries to find a lot of ways to minimize it. Part of their solution is to make it costly to drive a car or truck on their roads. This is done by having tolls and making license plates expensive. For example, a Shanghai license plate costs around $10,000, and there's a lottery system to determine who can even purchase one. Another solution they have is public buses. We took a bus for most of our daily transportation, but that was a private bus. There is a concept that China is trying to develop. It's a straddling bus that can skim over traffic. This would do a lot to alleviate traffic, as people can take a bus that just rides right over it. However, the most popular way to get around is by motorcycle, scooter, or bicycle. The scooters or motorcycles are often very small and come in all different shapes. Most of them have some sort of covering on the front to protect the driver from the elements. Rickshaws are popular for short trips within the city centers, but this is more for tourists. We took a rickshaw tour on our trip through Beijing city center. Bicycles are very big. Again, in effort to minimize traffic and pollution, China has implemented bike-sharing programs. You use an app on your phone to scan the bike, pay for it, and then it unlocks. You park it in designated areas when you're done. Hangzhou, outside of Shanghai, has the largest bike-sharing system in the world, with 84,000 bikes, and it even has a punishment or reward system that alters prices based on your use or misuse of the bikes. Infrastructure-wise, though, I thought the roads were very similar to what you would find in the US. Signs and traffic lights are almost identical. However, the most peculiar traffic law is no honking. We saw this mostly in Shanghai, but regardless of the law, a lot of people use their horn. It's something you'll hear a lot as you travel by road. Overall, these are the main ways of transportation in China. It's not extremely different than ours, but the application is in such a bigger context that it was interesting to experience and compare to our day-to-day experience.